Hey everyone, this is going to be an unscripted video describing all the little bits and overall strategies of what goes into a high range Telos kill. And today's subject will be my recent 2500% Enrage kill with no Achto and no food. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so right off the bat, I drop down and go around here, move onwards. Once I immediately start moving, right at that tick, I use my devotion right here, and then I switch to my planet feet, and then I use sunshine, and then I swap to lunars, because if you swap to lunars, you can still use borrowed power for vulnerability, and that doesn't really cost you anything. And if you swap to standards, that's still fine. It's just that you have to use another action bar slot, like somewhere around here. Then I don't have any room for any additional any additional spellbook swap slots, so it's lunars it is. So I swap to lunars, and then I immediately fall with a vulnerability and a bleed. Either corruption blast or combust works. It's just that you need to start with a bleed first. So you bleed, and then you do the other bleed, and then you wait a tick, and then you use your ice spell plus your rack. Now the cool thing about this is that if your ice spell hits Telos, you will proc his freedom, and his freedom is actually instrumental for getting no food kills with this gear setup, because his freedom can act as a mini stun of a sorts, because when he uses it, he will pause everything he does, and he will not be able to do anything for 1.2 seconds. Now sometimes this can work against you, because if you aren't careful, you can proc his freedom right after attack, and it'll just follow up with another attack, which is not very pleasant. And if you proc it within something like a Amna Bomb or so much power, then the attacks can stack on top of each other, so that's not good. But that's beside the point right now. So use Ice Blitz plus Rack for some good damage, because if you use Ice Spell plus Rack at the same time, even though he'll freedom it, he'll still end up doing the boosted damage from the Rack. So we're gonna replay back the double bleeds, and then Ice Blitz plus Rack, and then I follow immediately with a basic like Dragon Breath. And then this is where the stun locking comes in. Right after the Dragon Breath, I will follow up with a Asphyxiate right here. 2 hits and 3 hits. Immediately after the third hit, I will cancel with Deep Impact, and that will stun it for even longer. Now here's the interesting part. At this point, I will use another auto attack plus Rack for some extra damage, and then he'll freedom again, and that will pause him for a bit longer. And then I will follow up with a bleed, wait for him to attack me, proccing my vengeance, and then I will stun him again with Impact, and then I'll flare up another vengeance for some extra damage when he hits me, which he'll do right here. And then I attack normally with no 4 TAA. So I bleed him, and then I Sonic Wave, and then I switch to my Defender for a potential resonance. I don't get it here, which kind of irks me a bit here. So what I'll do is that, even though I have no food, I'll still try the best I can. So detonate while magic, you have to do it like 1 tick after this message pops up. Once you do that, you can losslessly do damage like that, and then I switch to my Spirit Shield, because this is the only way I could reduce damage while still doing enough reflect damage while living, and that pays off because I am literally at death's door. So then I attack more and more, but thankfully he's splashing right now. But as a precaution, I will use Disruption Shield with Spellbook Swap, so I can live for some more time. That splashed again, and that basically guaranteed that I was gonna live until P2. So even if he hit me again right here, which he doesn't, then that's no big deal. So I keep attacking him here. He freed him beforehand, by the way. Let me go back and show it to you. So he will attack me here, and then he'll freedom. This is important. And then I do 2 attacks here, and then I will stun him with Impact, and then follow up immediately with Asphyxiate. These two are interchangeable, it doesn't really matter, but I prefer just having impact first for some reason. Anyway, then I stun him here, and then he'll freedom again. That will give you another opportunity to stun him with deep impact without losing much of your tempo. And then I'll switch to my Stasis Warhammer Enhanced Excalibur, and then I'll activate my Ingenuity of the Humans to spec him here, and then he's already phased into P2. Now here's the thing though, because he just freedom, I don't want to go to P2 instantly right here. So after this, I'm using another basic ability plus Surge, so I can end up all the way over here, and it'll take me a long time for me to get over here. And he will freedom right here, which is important because if he freedoms too early when I'm mid-jump, then I'll really mess up the rest of my P2 rotation, and then I'll kind of throw me off balance. So we move onwards. And then we start immediately with Ice Splits. This is important. We don't start with Vulnerability. We start with Ice Splits, with Dual Wield, and then we follow up with a Bleed or Wild Magic. Wild Magic if you have the Adren. Otherwise, if you don't have the Adrenaline, you use a Bleed. So you move onwards, and now you swap to Vuln, and then you stun with Impact, and then Deep Impact. This is important. And then you escape backwards, and then you use Asphyxiate. Now, if you stack 2 deep stuns together, like Impact with Asphyxiate, then the stuns will override his bind, so he can still move even though he's bound. That will move him out of the black beam automatically, no matter where it spawns. He can spawn all the way vertically, or can spawn horizontally, and it'll be no big deal. And I say vertically right there because of north, south, and west directions, etc. He'll move out here, and then he'll freedom right here, and that'll pause him even longer, while I'll still get more DPS because I used all 4 hits of Asphyxiate instead of 3 hits. Now, moving onwards, I will bleed him once here, and then I'll follow up with the Gothic Staff for some extra damage. He will proc my Disruption Shield right there, but that's what I want, so I could get some good mileage out of what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna bleed him again here, and then here's the biggest thing. We're gonna use Reflect, and that will do a lot of damage back at Telos for basically no cost. And since I'm using a Defender, my DPS loss is minimal. And I'll also use Vengeance as much as possible. It's not available right now, but that will be back in a short amount of time regardless. So we move on here, and we just keep attacking here. And you use Wild Magic because again, it's not that much of a big deal losing it. So then I Resonance, and watch this. It's a 10k because I reflected it with my Defender, and that's a lot of damage. You don't even need to use Sunshine in this phase at all at higher rage. I just thrush him out and use Reflect. And then this is important because, let me go back around here. Oops. Here we go. Oh, this is a bit too far. Anyway. Here it is. Now this is the mid GCD. I'm gonna turn back at him. Notice how the GCD is still not completed. I turn back at him to use Ice Barrage, and that will waste his freedom right here. This is important, again, because this lines up with stun locking Telos to High Heaven. So then I follow up with a Bleed, and then I Impact to Deep Impact, while renewing my Vengeance buff. And then I wait attack, and then auto attack plus Asphyxiates. And then he'll freedom again, and then here I'm gonna debil. It's actually better it would have been better for me to devo instead of debil, but since I got the kill, it doesn't really matter. But devo is still better than debil at this point in time because he's already phased into the next phase. So then we move on to the next phase, P3. Now here's the first time I really make a. It's not really a major mistake, it's more of like a minor mistake here. This is what I mean. So like, I start off my Ice Burst as usual, but I accidentally used Rack right here. I don't know why that was the case. so that threw my rotation here off balance. So I have to instead really speed up the rest of my things. So I stunned him here. Since I stunned him at the same time he attacked, this impact was completely wasted. And then I follow up with a deep impact, and then I will just attack it once with vulnerability and rack right here, and then I'm gonna hit him once again, and then I'm gonna stun instantly, and then I'm gonna use 2 attacks with basics right here, and then I'm gonna activate my limitless sigil once I have the amount of adrenaline required. My sigil immediately at the same time I use my oops, that kind of buffered weirdly. I'm gonna use my wild magic at the same time I activate my limitless. This is important because I see a lot of people use their adrenaline pot on P3 when you can just use their limitless sigil and still use wild magic and asphyxiate. You don't need to use your adrenaline pot on P3. Instead I save this for P4, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Moving on, we used our wild magic right here, and then I will wait a tick here to use an auto attack with Corruption Blast, and then I'm gonna stun him again. Although again, just like before in the first few seconds of P3, this impact was completely wasted. So I should have used like a stronger ability like Rack perhaps, because he would have still been bound with my ice spell. After that, I will follow up with Asphyxiate, and I will use Asphyxiate right as my Limitless runs out, which is going to result in very good DPS. Here I'm gonna, since my health is really low, I'm gonna try to grab a Resonance here. Taking off your armor is a good way to grab Resonance if you really want to minimize your RNG. So I don't get it there, but I get it here, which really makes me happy. And I gotta restore my prayer quickly. And then I just DPS him down with basics. Build up here, and then reapply vulnerability, all that jazz. That's P4. But that's not how I really wanted P3 to go. As a better example, I'm gonna use my first 4000% kill as an example. So going right here. Now notice how I did Ice Blitz again, and then I'm gonna Vuln here. Then I actually properly use Impact to Deep Impact, and then I want to rack him, and then bleed him here, and then I immediately stun here. He will freedom here as like a sort of mini stun, as what I want to do for P1, P2 of my 2500% kill. So I stun here, and then I ice barrage plus rack into a Dragon Breath, and then I do the same wall magic thing there. But a cool thing is that if you restore your prayer at the same time Telos drains your prayer, then you won't lose your prayers at all. So since I figured out the timing of when I should use super restores, then I don't lose much prayer at all. And I can camp low prayer, because the higher your prayer, the more he's really gonna drain. So in this phase, it's not really beneficial to camp high prayer. So moving on here, and I'll just restore right here, and I still keep my prayers just fine. And then I attack with him with it more with 2 basics, stun him here, and then I fix. And then the rest of the phase just really goes on as normal, and that's really the full extent of my optimal P3 rotation. And something that I failed to do, because again I racked at the start of P3 right around here, which was not very good at all, and that threw off a lot of my not really a lot of rotations on second thought. It's just that it kind of I had to make my timing, especially with restoring prayer, a bit different. So now moving on to P4. All right. So we start with another Ice Blitz and then a bleed, because this is probably a bit late to mention this, but at the very start of every phase, Telos will have this arbitrary damage reduction where he will completely nullify instant like hit splats, stuff like Dragon Breath, Asphyxiates, stuns, but attacks with delayed hits like Bleeds, Sonic Wave, and Dual Wield Wild Magic, those will still hit because they have a longer travel distance. And on that note, Blitzes have that same travel distance, so while Barrages will get nullified by that damage immunity, Blitzes will get away from that. So here I'll use the Blitz and the Bleed to get enough damage right off the bat. And then I'm gonna flare up Vengeance just in case. And then I'm gonna Impact here to Deep Impact to Asphyxiate. Now, the difference between Impact Asphyxiate to Deep Impact is that Impact Asphyxiate to Deep Impact is a 1 tick longer stun rotation than Impact Deep Impact to Asphyxiate. And the differences are subtle but pretty big because you want to use Impact Asphyxiate and Deep Impact depending on when you use the ice ability and the auto attack right before, which we'll get into later on P4, I think. No, not really. But the impact Deep Impact to Asphyxiate does marginally more damage because you're using 4 attacks of Asphyxiate instead of 3. But the Impact Asphyxiate to Deep Impact will stun longer, but you do less damage overall with your abilities at least. So then my stun rotation here completely destroys Telos, and he cannot do a single auto attack at all here. And then this will give me an opportunity to res the font with Resonance, and then I'll switch my Spirit Shield for Reflect. And then, but here's the second mistake I make in this kill, so watch carefully. So I'm still deflecting damage here, but then what I didn't do is that I stepped onto where the volcanic was. So he walked west, and then I walked down, and but I didn't really walk down properly. So what I didn't do is that I didn't group up these golems together for one clean bind right here. I didn't do anything here, so oops, that skipped ahead again. So I didn't bind them properly, so I had to waste time there, and that wasted time for me. So my detonate wasn't at max charge; it was at 60% charge. But I pulled through anyway and did my detonate wild magic with an ice barrage, so I can waste this freedom again right here. And then I'm gonna surge plus impact, so I can get out of there away from those golems. And then I'm gonna that's bad. That's bad macro blocks. And then I'm gonna surge impact to Asphyxiate. And then I'm gonna follow up with Deep Impact right here. Now this is where that whole comparison between the stun rotations come in handy, because if I used Impact Asphyxiate to Deep Impact for more damage, he would have attacked me before this freedom, and that would have sped up that would have increased my chance of getting a rock on this phase, and that's no good. I should have mentioned this before at the start of P4 as well, but the entire goal of this phase is to make sure Telos does not do a single special attack. A mechanic introduced in 1000% plus for P4 is that rocks will fall periodically, just like P5. But these rocks do not fall before a special attack, so if you don't let him spec at all, you won't get any rocks. So my goal here is to make sure that he doesn't do anything with my stun rotations, and if it means giving up some DPS by not using my full potential of Asphyxiate, so be it. Moving on here, I'm going to freeze him here so I get a bit more breathing room to build. If I didn't have, this is really for the times where I don't have a lot of adrenaline, like if I needed to finish him off with a Gothic Staff. So this is a really needed right here, but I will also follow up with a vulnerability here so I can renew it for the rest of the phase. And I build up adrenaline here, and then I'm gonna barricade, and then Adren Pot here, so I have enough adrenaline to detonate him after the spawn is cleared. So, that's a bit of bad macro blocks again. And then I'm gonna build up adrenaline as much as possible, wait for those golems to come back to me. And then I'm gonna freeze them all in one fell swoop, step away, and then charge up my detonate once again. Here, I don't use, I don't use wild magic because I don't have enough adrenaline. If I use wild magic, let me take a look at my adrenaline. Okay, I was at 67 adrenaline. If I used wild magic, I would have, if the all attack hit, I would have been at 54 adrenaline. And I have to have a impatient proc if I wanted to be able to impact, asphyxiate to deep impact. So instead, I didn't take any chance. Instead, use rack instead, which if you stack it with the auto ice barrage, as we established in earlier phases, it does massive damage. So we unleash the detonate right here, and then I asphyxiate. No, not asphyxiate. And I use impact and surge towards Telos again, and then I follow with asphyxiate, and then I stun him, and then I get away from those minions. Wild magic is good, so you can like guarantee he will be phased immediately, but I took a chance and decided to rack again. But it was really all I needed. And then I'm gonna get away from these golems with Blade Dive, move onwards. I'm gonna just grab a cheeky soul split here, and then I'm gonna switch my Spirit Shield once again to get a reflect here. Oh, I also activated Excalibur during Fall number 2. That will help out around here. But Excalibur will get cleared when P5 starts, so it wasn't really all that helpful, all things considered. So I'm gonna attack right here. I can move this golem to position here, and I'm gonna Shield Dome right here for a bit of damage reduction. Not much, but enough. I guess it's like 400. I guess it's worth it. I'm gonna move back and forth because I wasn't entirely sure if you could Ice Barrage outside, immediately out of Shield Dome, so I didn't want to take chances. That's why I moved back and forth while invoking. Then I froze them and then moved away and then charge up detonate on Telos. And then you just finish him off with your strong attacks, and he's pretty much a goner. Crackling proc there too, which is very, very helpful. P5 is pretty much like, I guess, the same as your normal 2k kills. It's just that it's a lot more punishing. So I start here, but this is the third mistake I made, in that I didn't manage to attack him losslessly here. Notice how I didn't do any abilities right here when I started, and I instead got this message: you're not using the correct spell book for the spell. That's because I was trying to attack him with like my blitz. And I clicked on, I'm not sure what order I clicked on my spell and him, but the gist of it is that I didn't get my lossless Vone off, so instead I just defaulted to Residence right at the start, but then I got my Vone off, so that's all fine anyway. So I got my res, I got it here, and I deliberately did not pray magic because I want to get some reflect damage off, but then I realized too late that was a bit of a mistake, because look at that, I already got hit for over half of my health here, so that's very damaging. If that keeps up, then I'm a goner. So I'm gonna pray flick to the best I can here, using the natural instinct rotation. But the next mistake I made was, I don't know why I used anticipation right around here, because you only use that for volcanics, and even then, even if it was volcanics, I used it a bit too early. But that's a topic for another time. For now, I use the natural instinct rotation with natural instinct to revenge to sunshine, and then I followed with wild magic. And then since I'm almost dead, I'm gonna go use barricade, and I'm gonna Dragon Breath here for some AoEs against Telos and the 3 golems right around here, and I'm gonna charge up detonate, and then I'm gonna heal over back to half of my health. I got fortunate here. Oops, this is pretty bad again. I got fortunate here, and I got a green virus, so I'm gonna freeze those golems, and then I'm gonna go attack him more with auto attacks and such. This is also a really good way to heal back, because take a look at here. I have 6,900 HP, and then moving onwards with Soul Split up and with a bunch of blood barrages available. I immediately jump back to 3k HP. Which, with my resonance on cooldown, that's a really good thing for me. And then I'll just unleash some thresholds here. And then get away from those golems. I'm gonna freeze them. And I could have survived this rock right here, but I chose a blade dive 2 instead, so I don't waste much time. And so my bleeds on. Wait, no, I don't have any bleeds. Never mind. And then I can just recover from there. But I lose my immortality, so that's kind of a shame. But on the flip side, that also gives me an opportunity to switch my spirit shield, which will carry a bigger damage reduction than immortality, because immortality is a 25% damage reduction and arcane is 30%, so it's marginally better there. I'm gonna debil here, debil Telos, so he does less damage. I'm gonna pray melee exclusively starting around here. And I'm gonna do some attacks right here, and I'm gonna ice barrage plus. Oh, okay, I used rack here. I didn't use dragon breath, mostly because I'm gonna save it when I stack with detonate coming up very soon. Enhanced devoted proc right here, which is really good. And the timing is fortunate enough, so I could switch to soul split right around here, and then I heal up to 4k damage, 4k, which is really nice. I'm gonna attack him more with that. I'm gonna Devo right here, so these golems don't destroy me. Tag the font here, and basically the kill is pretty much won at this point. So right here, I'm gonna reapply my vulnerability and then my vengeance, and I'm gonna grab a res, reflect it while I'm dragon breath first, but then I'm gonna reflect into beam while prey flicking the best I can with vengeance into sunshine. I'm just gonna do as much damage as possible while prayer flicking. Now this is the final mistake I made. I thought I pressed asphyxiate right here, but instead I pressed corruption. That's why right around here I'm doing nothing, because I was wondering why I didn't asphyx, but instead I used corruption blast. I didn't know it at the time, but upon reevaluating, that's kind of how it happened. So oopsies. Anyway, then I barricade here, and then I'm gonna dragon breath to asphyxiate for some good damage. And I'm gonna sacrifice here. I don't know why I sacrificed. Should have debuild first. But I got the virus here, and just in case, I went towards it and surged with it with my dragon breath, but that finished the job anyway. That really covers what goes behind 2000%, 500% kill. Hope you enjoyed. I might be doing more of this later with like 4k kills perhaps, and maybe even like Virago kills if people want that. So yeah, if you want more videos like this, you can like the video and subscribe. I do more PvM related content like this, and I have quite a few coming up, like a complete P4 Telos guide with everything from like the stun locking, what I just did here, to more of like a beginner to slow kills. So those that don't feel comfortable with stun locking Telos just like that at a consistent basis can instead resort to like a more safe and consistent more consistent strategy for them. So, and I also stream on Twitch where I do this stuff live for you guys. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys later.